Dear learners, welcome to EPG Pathshala. This session will focus on earthquakes under environmental geology. Earthquakes are natural processes that have been occurring continuously and they affect mankind in different ways. In this module, we shall define what an earthquake is, the different characteristics and some of the definitions and terms related to the earthquake, for example, the focus or the epicenter. We shall also learn about the effects of the earthquakes, their primary effects, the secondary and the tertiary effects, and if long-term and short-term predictions of earthquakes are possible. By understanding these processes, it is possible to better prepare ourselves for such events in the near future. Let us now come to the objectives of the module. So, after reading this, you should be able to define the term earthquakes, describe the type of earthquakes, explain hazards associated with earthquakes, describe tsunami and its effects. The earthquakes indicate that our planet is dynamic and it is a changing system. They provide us knowledge about the Earth's interior and by studying the seismic waves that are generated by these earthquakes. So, this is basically an internal processes occurring which is internal, that is inside the Earth's crust. When the energy stored in the elastically strained rocks is released suddenly, an earthquake can occur. This will send out the seismic waves and they normally occur along the fault. Let us now see some definitions that are related to the earthquakes. An earthquake is defined as a sudden movement of a part of the Earth's crust. Seismology is a study of the generation, propagation and measurement of the seismic waves through the Earth and the sources that generate them. A seismometer is an instrument that is used to record the seismic vibrations. A seismogram is nothing but a graph which shows the seismic vibrations at a particular area. The epicenter is a point that is directly above the focus of an earthquake on the Earth's surface, and the focus is the point of origin of an earthquake. It is the initial position of rupture within the Earth which first generates the seismic waves. Now, let us read about the theory of the continental drift theory. There was a German scientist named Alfred Wegener in 1915 and he proposed that the continents that we see presently, these were earlier a single land mass and this was called as the Pangaea. So, that was a supercontinent or one single earth mass. Based on some similarities of coastlines, but that is a geology between South America, Africa, the Indian Peninsula, Australia and Antarctica, he came to some conclusion that yes, the pieces of these plates, they actually fit just like the puzzle in a jigsaw puzzle, and so they are actually plates that have actually drifted away from each other due to certain geological forces. This Pangaea existed approximately 200 million years ago and this was surrounded by one ocean that was named as the Panthalassa. So, this figure over here, this photo shows that it was a single one continent named as Pangaea surrounded by this blue ocean, the Panthalassa. Now, this supercontinent, this broke up into different pieces like you find in the jigsaw puzzle where children find their pieces and they try to join them to form one big diagram or a photo. So, in the same way, this has the bigger continent has broken up to form the smaller continents. How did these continents drift apart? So, they say, the scientists say that they had drifted due to some centrifugal pseudo force of the Earth's rotation or by a small component of astronomical precision. But right now all these processes, they have been said that it is wrong and the researchers say that such forces cannot cause such continental drift. This photograph over here shows you how they have been drifted 2 million years ago, 130 million years ago, today and 70 million years ago. So, you can see the cycle how the different continents have split away from each other, and you can also see the coastlines, for example, in South America and Africa, how they exactly fit and they just fit into each other like a puzzle. So, the plate tectonics, the theory states that the lithosphere actually is composed of 7 major lithospheric plates and these plates slide past each other and they passed over the asthenosphere, that is just below the lithosphere. This is basically a plastic kind of layer. The plates act like a hard and rigid shell, so they actually float over this asthenosphere. The lithosphere is a crust and the upper part of the mantle. This is 100 kilometers thick below the continents and 50 kilometers thick under the oceans. The asthenosphere is a partially molten layer and this extends to 700 kilometer depth. The plates generally they move with a velocity of 2 to 10 centimeters per year on the underlying asthenosphere. So, even now the different plates are moving away from each other, but we really do not feel it. They are really moving at a very small scale, but they continuously keep moving and drifting away from each other. The convection currents upwelling in the mantle are the driving forces for the movement of these lithospheric plates. The major plates are the African, the American, Antarctic, Indo-Australian, Eurasian and the Pacific plates. The smaller plates include the Andaman, Philippine plate and so on. The movement of these plates with each other is the main cause for the occurrence of the earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. So, normally it is at these faults or at these plate boundaries that earthquake and volcanic activities can occur. Now, there can be interplate earthquakes and intraplate earthquakes. The interplate earthquakes, this occurs at the plate boundaries and here the frequency is actually high, but normally all earthquakes do not occur at these plate boundaries. The intraplate boundaries, of course, it refers that it is not occurring at the plate boundary, but inside. These earthquakes can occur far away from the plate boundaries and the recurrence for these earthquakes is longer than that of the interplate. That means, this does not occur as frequently as that occurs in the case of the interplate earthquake. What are the causes of the earthquakes? How are they formed? How do they occur? The surface causes, they produce earthquakes of minor intensity due to collapse of caves, blasting of rocks and landslides. Volcanic causes, this could be associated with volcanoes. Tectonic causes, as we have seen now, it is due to the plate movement. Movement of the plates causes earthquakes to occur. Movement along the fault plains, crustal displacements, structural disturbance can cause sudden slipping of the earth's crust along these faults. Now, before going into further details, we should also know what the elastic rebound theory states. This was propounded by Harry Fielding Reid after studying the fault line of the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. They describe the mechanism of the earthquake generation or how it is being propagated before and after an earthquake, what are the wave propagation and how they occur, whether they occur parallel, whether they occur perpendicular to each other and how it is seen. So, this theory states that the materials of the earth are elastic. They can withstand a certain amount of stress without being deformed permanently. If the stress is prolonged or increased in magnitude, the rocks undergo permanent deformation and rupture. The rupture occurs in the rocks on either side of the fault and they can return to the original shape position. Because of their elasticity, an elastic rebound will occur. So, elasticity is an important factor over here. So, this concept accounts for the earthquakes generated by the sudden slippage of the rocks on either side of a fault plane. So, here in this figure you can see the rock bending that occurs before and after an earthquake, the final alignment of the points. So, you can actually see that this is the fault, the alignment of the points, this is the original alignment of the point and points after accumulation of the elastic strain and the final alignment of the point where it can occur. So, that is the rock bending, how it can bend before and after an earthquake can occur. Epicenter, point on the earth's surface which is directly above the focus. So, normally when we see the media, the reports or the newspaper, they normally report that this was so much kilometers away from the epicenter or this was the epicenter, and they also say the magnitude in terms of the Richter or the Mercalli index, like what was the magnitude of the earthquake that was that had occurred. The highest intensity of the earthquake normally occurs at the epicenter. The maximum damage to life and property occurs at this place. The intensity of the earthquake will decrease as we move away from the epicenter. So, here in this figure also we can see that this point which is seen over here, this is the epicenter. and the point which is just directly below, or that is the focus, or the point that is just directly above the focus is called as the epicenter. And as we move away from the epicenter, you can, this is actually like seeing the stone which we put into water, and this causes a rippling effect of the water. So, this is the waves that are created, you just find as if they are waves that are generated, and as we move away from the epicenter, the intensity of the earthquake also decreases, the damage to life and property also decreases. Now, we should also know what are the body and the surface waves, and in that the primary and the secondary waves. So, seismic waves. So, they can be the body waves and the surface waves. The body waves are generated due to release of energy at the focus of the earthquake. They move in different directions. Denser the material, more will be the velocity. The primary waves, they are faster than the S waves, they are compressional waves, they can travel in solid, liquid and gaseous material. They have a tendency to vibrate parallel to the direction of the wave propagation, and since they are the first waves to arrive, they are called as the primary waves. Secondary waves, they arrive later, so they are termed as secondary waves. They are shear waves, they displace material at right angles to the path of their travel. The direction of the vibration is perpendicular to the direction of the wave propagation, and this wave will travel only in solid material. The surface wave, they travel on the surface of the earth. They travel slower than the body waves, and they are usually the most destructive wave that can occur in large shallow focus earthquake, especially in the sedimentary basins. They have a low velocity, low frequency, and they have long wavelength. The surface waves include the love waves, which have complex horizontal ground movement, and the Rayleigh waves, which have a rolling motion. So, these are the seismic waves. We also should know what magnitude and intensity of an earthquake refer to. Now, the magnitude and intensity of the earthquake, this can be measured using a Richter magnitude scale or a Mercalli magnitude scale. The Richter magnitude, this measures the amplitude of the largest recorded seismic wave at a specific distance from the earthquake, and this is normally given in values from 1 to 10. Normally in the news reports, we see that the earthquake had this was at an epicenter of this, it occurred from at this place, and this had a magnitude of 6 or it had a magnitude of 5. So, they are referring to some scale, whether the Richter scale or the Mercalli. So, this is the order of the increasing intensity. The Mercalli intensity scale, this is another seismic 12-point scale, which also measures the earthquake, and this is based on observation effects, and it describes the earthquake severity in terms of the damage inflicted. The Mercalli scale is normally linear and the Richter scale is logarithmic in nature. The duration of the earthquake, like it can be from a few seconds to few minutes. The longer the duration, the more the damage to life and property, and the longer the earthquake will last. Now, distribution of the earthquakes. So, they can be distributed at the diverging plate boundaries. Diverging means two plates will move away from each other. So, we know what are plate boundaries. Two plates, for example, if it is South America or if it is Africa, the two plates are diverging or they are moving away from each other. These are for example, the mid-oceanic ridges. They are shallow focus earthquakes, and the focal depth are normally more than 20 kilometers. The transform plate boundaries. So, these lithospheric plates, they will slide past each other. So, they will slide just against each other, and they show a strict strike slip motion on the fault. The San Andreas fault of California, this shows this form of a plate boundary. Converging plate boundary, that is when two plates move towards each other, and they can also go below each other. They can also cause subduction boundaries or collision boundaries. The ocean lithosphere is pushed under the oceanic continental lithosphere, and for example, India and Nepal, they can also have the lithospheric plates which are colliding, and where one plate can go below one another, and mountain formation can occur in this case. Tectonic earthquakes, this occurs when the crust is subjected to strain. Volcanic earthquakes, when volcano explodes, then there are possible earthquake effect, and it can be affected in 10 to 20 miles around its base. Volcanotectonic, which is a combination of both, this can result in faulting and subsidence. Human activities, for example, injecting fluid into deep wells for the waste disposal, detonation of atomic explosives under the ground, testing of these atomic explosives and bombs, filling of new reservoirs and dams, all this can also cause the human induced and seismic, that is human induced seismicity. The hazards due to earthquakes, they can cause damage to buildings, liquefaction, that is buildings can sink into the ground, that is soil liquefaction, the ground displacement can occur, the fault zone, building constructed over the fault zone may be affected and damaged, and the aftershock. So, even after an earthquake has occurred, there could be some aftershocks that can occur in a region. There can also be mass movements, flooding, fire, contamination of water, changes in the ground level, and also tsunamis also could be set triggered by earthquakes. So, these are all, now we have learnt about what are the earthquakes, the characteristic of earthquakes, and what are the effects that they cause, and the distribution of earthquakes, where the earthquakes normally can occur. Now, earthquakes, can they be predicted? Yes, they can be predicted by certain long term and short term assessment techniques. Long term includes the information about instances where the earthquakes have occurred in the past. If these seismic gaps are identified, then the area that can expect a large earthquake, this can be predicted in the near future. Now, short term, this could be like precursor events. There could be some precursor events that can occur, like uplift of the ground, the tilting position, shift in the water levels in the wells, resistivity of rocks. There can be strange animal behavior. Now, all this, the animals refuse going into their places. All this can cause some short term assessment, where the scientists can do their test, and they can be communicated by means of satellites to the people. Some of the precautions that we can take during earthquakes are: before an earthquake, heavy furniture should be always anchored to the wall. The fire extinguishers and first aid kits should always come in handy in any institution or inside buildings. During the earthquake, we should not panic, we should always stay calm. We should always stay in the open and away from the furniture or inside the buildings, and if you are caught up inside a building, maybe you should take shelter below any furniture or table. After the earthquake, we need some first hand kits, again they come handy. Gas, the power lines, the water lines, all this should be checked for some kind of breakage or leakage. And the aftershocks also, we have to be aware of this, because this can occur anytime, and we need to be connected with the media updates. Tsunamis are gigantic waves that are under water generated earthquakes, and they are disturbances that occur under the sea or an ocean. This is due to an earthquake or a volcanic eruption. Tsunami in Japanese means harbor waves. They can these waves can travel in the open sea at 450 miles per hour. So, you can see how fast they travel. When these big waves, they approach the shallow waters along the coast, they grow to the great heights, and then they hit the shore, and the waves can be even as high as 100 feet and can result in lot of destruction on the shore. Tsunamis also can be predicted. There have been early warning systems for tsunamis. There has been a Pacific Tsunami Warning System Center. This is set up by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration for the Pacific Warning System for areas in the Pacific Ocean. Also, international network of seismographic tidal stations are situated around the Pacific basin, and this will transmit the information to the center that is located in Hawaii. So, this figure over here, if you see, you have this Pacific Tsunami Warning System Center, how people sit over there and they are able to get the signals. This is the system that is set up over there under the ocean, and from this by the satellite based instruments, they are able to detect the small waves or the generation, whether it is going to occur, and through the communication through the tidal stations, they can transmit the information to the different stations which are connected to this center, and the satellite engineering solution, thereby it can reduce effects and save millions of lives. So, coming to the summary of this session, that is earthquakes, we have learnt about the earthquakes, the different characteristics, the different definitions relating to earthquakes, the focus, the epicenter, the places where an earthquake can be generated, the types of earthquakes, whether it could be intraplate or interplate earthquakes, the distribution of earthquakes, whether they can occur along the plate boundaries or even internal to it, and we also see the transform. We have also learnt about the collisions, that is whether they can be caused due to the where the slides passed against each other to transform fault boundaries or at the plate boundaries, whether they could be converging or divergent plate boundaries. We have also seen some of the theories, for example, the continental drift theory and how our continent was one before, and these processes are continuously occurring in nature, and this is evident from the thing that the continents are even now drifting away from each other. So, they are moving away from each other at a very slow scale that we are hardly able to even experience those effects. Finally, we have seen what are tsunamis, and we have also learnt how these earthquakes and tsunamis can be predicted. There could be short term predictions and long term predictions, how scientists monitor these effects, the precursor effects. So, understanding even when after an earthquake has occurred, the scientists examine these deposits, the faults over there, the conditions that have occurred. So, this always analyzing the precursor events and which has occurred, it will give us a better understanding of the natural hazards and the processes that are operating in nature. Thank you.